Welcome back. The rapid professionalization of college sports is underway. 3 years after the NCAA began allowing college athletes to earn money from their name, image, and likeness. As a result, it's costing colleges a lot more to fund successful sports teams. The New York Times recently reported that a starting football lineup in the new Power Four conferences can run upwards of $10 million a year. One way to possibly fund that growing bill? Private equity. As Brunswick Group notes, some colleges may consider selling a stake in their teams to cover the costs of competing for talent. Just how likely is this to ever come to pass? Joining me now is Mike Schoenfeld. He's a partner at Brunswick Group. Mike, it's great to have you here. Welcome.
Thank you, Kelly. Thank you for having me here today.
I don't know if you have a preferred college team that you're keeping an eye on in this. Everybody seems to.
I do, but I'll keep it off the air for the moment. But it is college sports, as you know, is one of the most passionate and growing areas of the sporting landscape, and people do have very extreme partisanship for their college teams, for their state teams, for their private university teams, and the money that's at stake right now is huge.
I'm sure you saw the headlines this week, I think based in part on that New York Times reporting that an SEC quarterback makes on average $1 million a year, and that's more than Brock Purdy because of his rookie contract as a starting quarterback. Nevertheless, these amounts are staggering, and who is ultimately going to fund them?
Well, that's a great question. The college and university athletic departments are on the hook not only for NIL, but also for funding comprehensive athletic programs. And as a result of what's known as the House settlement, which allows all college athletes to get paid current and former, there will be very, very significant financial pressures, much greater than before, on university athletic programs. In addition to facilities, coaching salaries, all of the things all the resources that it requires to run a major college athletic program. Who's going to pay for it? Well, TV deals are huge. For many of the conferences and for the NCAA basketball tournament, you're looking at $1 billion plus a year going to these conferences. Sponsorship agreements. And then for many institutions, there's also funding from the university. So student fees at some places, at some institutions, make up a very significant part of the budget. All told, though, it will not be enough, particularly when colleges and universities have to, at the major programs, have to start paying upwards of $20 million a year to their students.
$20 million a year. So could private equity come in? We've talked about how they're already, I think, up to 30% ownership in the NBA, 10% ownership in the NFL. We've now seen them open the door. College sports would seem like a natural next investment.
It would seem like a natural next investment. A couple of things, and this came out certainly in our survey. One is figuring out how does that money come in? Colleges and universities at the moment are not selling their teams. So where does the money come in? What does the money come into? Where does the money go? That is obviously a very big question. The second, and there is just the public perception. There are college sports fans who feel very, very strongly about their teams, about the connection of sports to the university, to the academic mission. You have a lot of stakeholders here, so people have to figure out. Private equity needs to figure out first, how do you make money on this? And then second, where are the landmines? Where are the roadblocks?
Sure.
What's the potential for blowback?
And when I think about the liquidity, I just think much like in other areas of investment, they could just sell to each other, if they allowed at some point, and there's so much interest in supporting teams and having access to those games as an investor that I think there would be some inherent interest. But we just showed the percentage of those who would be for or against private equity ownership. Interestingly, in your survey, a lot of this breaks down by generation, doesn't it? And it seems in some ways just like a waiting game.
Yes, very much so. The older the fan, the more you want it to be like it used to be, like it always was. What we found with younger fans is that because this is something that is much more a part of their universe, they are much more open to the engagement of private equity. Now, again, this is all theoretical at the moment. When it becomes actual, when it becomes practical, I think you'll see another round of conversation and potential blowback as well.
And I think you asked questions about commercialization, those concerns, disparity, obviously corruption even came up, or being beholden to investors, raising the cost of the games. All of these concerns on the margin, but it does seem like there's overwhelmingly people who think this would benefit their teams and their athletes. And that seems like the ultimate place that it's going to kind of come down to.
Well, that's what we found. Look, everybody wants an advantage for their team.
Exactly.
And they want a fair advantage, but they still want that advantage. What our survey found is that all of those intangibles that are important for college sports, integrity, connection to support for the student athletes, support for the academic mission, all of those things are still really, really important and would have to be addressed in any kind of private equity scheme. Last thing I'll just add is also that the college sports is very, very decentralized. Unlike the NFL, unlike the NBA, you're talking about, in the case of potential private equity investment, you're talking about a couple of dozen institutions that have very, very different structures, governance, political imperatives. So
for now,
so this will be for now, but and it's going to get even more complicated in the future.